just a minute because it always cuts me off in the beginning. Hey, welcome to Live with Lynn. So if you're here, say hi. If you're watching the replay, be sure to type replay so I know you were here. I'm Lynn Huber, and I appreciate you being here today. So today I'm going to talk about the high cost of distractions at home and at work. You know, we all get distracted from time to time, right? It's just the way it is, especially these days. I mean, some of the distractions are brought on by others, but a lot of them we do things to distract ourselves. You know, we browse through email and social media instead of getting right to work. We get home and we turn on the TV to zone out. So instead of, getting whatever we need to get done, we play on our phones whenever we need to take a break or check out for a minute. We cause these distractions for ourselves throughout the day without even giving much thought to what it's costing us in the long run. So let's start with working hours. Getting distracted is going to greatly diminish how much you're going to get done in a given day. Not only do you lose the time that you're distracted, whether it's just a minute while you check email or a couple of seconds while you glance at your phone to see what the flashing alert is about, or the 15 minutes when a coworker stops by to chat, but then you lose the additional productive time while you're trying to figure out where you were at and what you were supposed to be doing before you got distracted. The time it takes to get you back into productive mode is often longer than the time of the actual distraction, and it all adds up. After a couple of dozen distractions in a given day, you've easily lost a couple of hours of work time. And by itself, it might not seem like much, but multiplied over weeks or months or even the year, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of progress that you're not making on whatever it is that you're working on. It could be the difference between getting a raise or a promotion and missing out, or it could be the difference between taking your business to the next level and barely scraping by. And most likely, it'll be a big difference in how much money you make by the end of the year, for sure. Hi, Karen. Good to see you. So let's not forget about your personal life, though. While you may not be able to put a dollar value to the time that you waste here and there by allowing yourself to be distracted, the cost still ends up being even higher. So how many hours of quality time that you could be spending with your kids or your spouse are you wasting by watching TV shows you don't even care about, or browsing YouTube videos, or wasting away scrolling through Facebook, or doing a Google search that ends with a cat video after 2 hours of mindless browsing, right? Even if it's just a few minutes here and there, this time adds up, and it's time that you're not going to get back. So isn't it time that you take control over your time in your life? So what can you do about it? Well, the first and most common culprit is your phone. These things, oh my gosh, these things, they're like a blessing and a curse, right? Smartphones have enabled us to be more connected than we've ever been, freed us to work on the go, and made getting lost a thing of the past. I mean, we have a map right there in our hand, right? But along with all these benefits comes some steep downsides. That the phone can be our most perfect distraction machine. Part of this has to do with our brain chemistry. I bet you didn't even know this, but doing things like checking Facebook or text messages releases dopamine. It's a feel-good chemical that rewards us for completing tasks, and it's that dopamine, that high, right? Chocolate does the same thing. But the problem with that is that the pleasure we get from the dopamine is fleeting, and that leads us to trigger those dopamine releases more frequently. And that's why it's so tempting to check our phones constantly. And our phones are a known dopamine source. They're an easy fix for flooding our brains with that temporary pleasure. In fact, phones and apps with their pop-up notifications, they're designed exactly to do that, to trigger that behavior. And they do a great job with it, right? The fix, though, is to quiet those notifications with the do not disturb or silent mode. On my phone, I can just flip the switch on the side to put it in silent. And when you put your phone in silent mode, you can silence those notifications for those times that your work needs your full concentration. And then when you're done with what you need done concentrating, you can turn that back on, right? Another culprit is multitasking. So we all think we can do it. We take calls while we work on spreadsheets. We schedule social media posts while we're listening to a webinar, or we're watching a webinar and we're busy scheduling social media posts. Or we read an email while we're watching or actually listening to a video because it's a separate screen, right? And yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of that as well. Seriously, I have to catch myself because I have to tell myself I can't do that. But the thing is, we're wrong. Our brains aren't built for multitasking, and we're terrible at it. When we try to multitask, what we're actually doing is we're distracting ourselves from our most important tasks. We're actually not multitasking. We're taking our attention from this, off of this to this, and then off of this to that. And every time you do that, you have to get back into where was I? What was I doing? And sure, it might be fleeting and you might not even realize it, but that is what's happening. Your brain cannot do both at once. So the fix to that one is prioritize, 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 right? Once you accept that you have to focus on one task at a time, the question becomes which one? So this is where prioritizing and discipline planning comes in. Identify your most important activities first and attack them with gusto. So Karen says, I'm guilty of multitasking. Hi, Erin. Erin says, haha, I'm a multitasker all over the place some days. Hey, so am I, but seriously, we would get more done if we focused on one thing at a time. So identify your most important activities first and attack them with gusto. So here's where a to-do list really comes in handy. Since I started using, I off and on throughout the years, I've always had a to-do list, but never religiously used one. And now I do. I use Microsoft To Do, and I have everything in it. I mean, I'm not kidding. It even says, wish happy birthday to everybody on Facebook. It's on my task list so that at the end of the day, when I don't go to bed till after midnight, but when it turns over after midnight and it says you have these birthdays today, I can go through that. I literally have that on my task list. I have everything on it. And it just comes in handy because, I use Microsoft To Do, which I like because it's on my computer, it's on my phone, and it syncs, and so I can just check it off every time when I get it done. I can do repeating tasks like the one where it says check Facebook birthdays every day. That's repeating, so I check it done, and then tomorrow it comes up again. So, and it's free, and it's always synced, but you can use whatever you want. I mean, there's lots of apps out there, or you can even use a pen and paper for your to-do list. But just having that to-do list helps keep me focused on, okay, these are the things I have to get done. I'm done with that, check, next, done with that, check. And it keeps me, it keeps me organized. I mean, it really has made a difference. But hey, distractions are a fact of life, and there's definitely ways to optimize your office and minimize their effect, right? The key is to eliminate as many as possible. Seriously, when you get home from work, if that's the case, and you fall down on the couch and you turn on the TV and you're watching some show that you're not even interested in, I mean, wouldn't you rather use that time for something else, really, instead of just being distracted or just zoning out, right? So rather than engage in a daily struggle with your own biology, avoid as many as possible by removing those temptations in the first place. Because isn't it time to take back control of your time and your life? So you could start by cutting out by as many distractions as you can. I mean, if it's something you decide to do, that's not a distraction, right? If it's a distraction, it's something that you probably weren't even planning on doing. It wasn't something that you scheduled, that's for sure. Microsoft To Do. Yeah, Microsoft To Do. I'm putting it on my to-do list right now. Yay, Karen. So, hey, now I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know I only covered a couple of distractions here. What are some of the distractions that you find that I missed, that I didn't cover? I know there's lots of them. I only did like the top two. And how do you deal with them? So please get down in the comments and share your thoughts. I would love to hear them. Thanks, Karen and Erin, for being live with me today. And anyone else who might have been live that just didn't comment, and anyone who's watching the replays, I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.